Hey guys, Tim here. Let's talk about standard deviation. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I take the SAT all the time. I hadn't seen standard deviation on the SAT until a few years ago. And I even remember taking the test at the time and seeing it and thinking, whoa, they're busting out standard deviation on us today. Okay, that's a new one they put on there. Now, since then, I saw it in increasing frequency. And now it's at the point to where when you're taking the calculator test on the math portion of the SAT, you can go ahead and bet the standard deviation is going to be on there. It's just one of those every test type of questions now, okay? Now, that's a good thing for you because you're watching this video, so you take the SAT, sure enough, it's on there. You can get it right. Most people won't. If you ask 100 high school juniors or seniors, hey man, what do you know about standard deviation? I'll tell you right now, most of them, juniors or seniors, aren't going to know, right? And look, that matters because your SAT score is based on how you do compared to everybody else. That 800-point score is actually a percentile ranking of how many questions you're getting right versus everybody else on the test. So, a lot of students mistakenly like the easy questions on the SAT or the ACT or AP exams or whatever because they think, yeah, I like easy questions, I get them right. And then, I always tell them, like, well, so what? You're getting it right, but everybody else is getting it right. So you're not really separating yourself from the pack. You need to get certain questions right that not really anybody else is getting right. And if you do that on this test, then you do better than everybody else. Now, standard deviation, I don't really think it's that hard. It's just most people don't know about it because they haven't taken a course in probability and statistics, and so they end up getting it wrong, right? But I got you covered today, okay? So talking about this problem with Miss Williams' classes here, if you look at the first and second period classes, what's interesting about this data is that the class average for each class is 80. Now, looking at class 1, first period, that you can kind of tell from looking at the data, the average probably is 80 because most of the scores are around 80, right? Some are a little above, some are a little below, but they're all hovering around 80. Now, second period, that may come as a shock or as a news to you, right? Because you got hundreds and you got 55s, right? But if you add them all together, divide by 15, you will still get 80 as the average, all right? Now, mean can be deceptive. If I tell you, yeah, Miss Williams, her first period class and second period class, each class averaged an 80 on the test, it sounds like they did the same, right? Except obviously they didn't. Second period, the scores are all over the place. First period, not, all right? This is why we have standard deviation, all right? What it means is if we say our standard, our mean, the average, right? That's going to be the standard. Basically what it measures is how much does the data deviate from the standard, right? Whereas if you look at the first period class, you see the data doesn't vary much from the standard. It's all just a couple points above or below 80, but all the data is really around 80. And so because the data doesn't vary a whole lot, it doesn't deviate much above or below the standard, it will have a small standard deviation, okay? Now, second period, those scores are all over the place. They have a ton of variety to them, right? And so they vary a lot from the standard. They deviate a lot from the standard. So second period will have a large standard deviation. So you do not have to calculate standard deviation on the SAT, but you do need to know this, the general idea of it, okay, which is this. So if you're taking notes or whatever, write this down, hammer it into your head, whatever. If you have a conceptual understanding of it, you can get these questions right on the SAT, and here it is. If the data is very consistent, then you will have a small standard deviation, okay? And if the data is inconsistent, has a ton of variety, the numbers are all over the place, then you will have a large standard deviation. So on this question, the answer will be B, because second period is obviously going to have the larger standard deviation. Now, if you want to understand more about standard deviation, want to work a variety of problems, I teach a class that is completely devoted to the type of probability and statistics problems the SAT likes to ask. You can attend that, plus many others that are also super productive. Visit my website, satprepteacher.com. That's where I have information on my live classes I offer. Insanely affordable. Gets you ready for the test. You'll love it, all right? So satprepteacher.com. Also at my website, I have a resources tab. Check it out. I put tons of free resources up there of the types of questions that you consistently see on the SAT, especially the new stuff like standard deviation that has only recently popped up on the test. So check it out, satprepteacher.com. Hope to see you in class.